find some unsung heroes in 2026. And Sully, you and I were laughing as we start this list in Pittsburgh with the Steelers. As I was going through the rundown, you have Michael Pittman on here, and I was like, wait, what? But that kind of leans into the underratedness of it. Michael Pittman Jr. is a Steeler, so talk to me about his 2026 in his new home.
Pittman's the perfect example of when you're a general NFL fan and you're checking back in and maybe a couple months you're doing your fantasy football prep, you'll be like, wait a minute, when did this happen? When did Michael Pittman become a Pittsburgh Steeler? Happened earlier in the offseason, but kind of gets lost in the shuffle, especially after the week we just had with Myles Garrett and A.J. Brown being traded. But this is a guy that I really think will make an impact for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Go back to a couple of years, it just feels like this team has always been looking for that number 2 target in their offense. Even back last season when they acquired DK Metcalf, remember, you're like, okay, finally, they have a number 2 option, a secondary option in that passing game with George Pickens, and then a couple of weeks later they trade George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys, creating that need again. And last year you saw a perfect example of DK Metcalf being a true number 1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But in that position room, Calvin Austin was the second leading receiver with under 400 receiving yards, 327 yards for the season. So they really needed another guy. Pittman certainly fills that need for them. We've seen at the peaks of his powers being able to catch 100 balls, go over 1,000 yards receiving in a given season. And I think that this addition really does help the last dance of Aaron Rodgers, because like I referenced, it was really stark, the difference between the number 1 wide receiver in DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin, the number 2 wide receiver in that offense from a production standpoint. Pittman brings things to a more respectable level.
Pittman finished with 784 yards last year, had 7 touchdowns on 80 receptions. So it feels like that number could go up. Like, I don't know, maybe we see 1,000 yards out of him this year. Let's move on and talk Ravens. And I love this topic here, Tyler. We're talking next season, or a season removed here. Coming up at number 3, Sully, you got Pittsburgh. So the Steelers made some splashes this offseason. They added playmakers like Michael Pittman Jr., Rico Dowdle. Pittsburgh also reinforced its defense while looking to develop rookie quarterback Drew Aller. Of course, they've got their quarterback back in Aaron Rodgers. But why did they slip to number 3 for you, Sully?
I know this is a team that won the division last season, have them going all the way down to 3rd. And it's kind of because they have a 42-year-old quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. Like, I know we were waiting all offseason to see what Aaron Rodgers was going to do. And the fact that he is coming back, like, I guess, great for Pittsburgh. But at the same time, you are now going into what he is proclaimed to be his final season in the NFL. And I always am a little bit weary when you talk to a player that's kind of got one foot out the door, coming off a pretty solid season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, it kind of felt like that was the storybook ending, being a decent quarterback throughout the regular season, winning that division, getting into the playoffs. It kind of felt like the right moment. Maybe this is one of those seasons where you hang on one too many years. I do like the additions of Michael Pittman, but I just have questions about what Aaron Rodgers is going to look like at 42 years old, turning 43 years old during the tail end of this season.
Yeah, it's hard for me to get too excited about a team that's just this old. I mean, it's not only Aaron Rodgers that's old. You got Cam Hayward, maybe your best defensive player. He's 37. You have 2 of your other better defensive players, TJ Watt, Jalen Ramsey, they're 31. And then you knew you were old at this offseason. You added some other guys on the precipice of 30, and Michael Pittman Jr. and Jamel Dean. So they only got older as a roster, and I just think they're getting passed up in that division, truthfully. It's not that they may fall off. It's that I think the Ravens and the Bengals are so much better than they were a year ago with the changes they made this offseason. So the Steelers kind of just feel relegated once again to that middle of the NFL, 8-9, 9-8. That's where they're going to end up.
Well, as a 49ers fan, talking about old rosters, I feel a little attacked there, Granner. But like, as you pointed out, this is really just like a two-headed monster or a two-team race here. The Ravens didn't make a ton of splashy moves this offseason, but they did add.
What if Pittsburgh is not just adding another receiver? What if the Steelers are building a team that can hurt you on both sides of the ball? Steelers Nation, listen, this is not just about Stefon Diggs. This is not just about TJ Watt staying. This is about Pittsburgh possibly building something scary enough to make the entire AFC uncomfortable. Because if the Steelers somehow add a veteran weapon like Diggs and TJ Watt remains the face of that defense, then we are not talking about a small upgrade anymore. We are talking about balance. We are talking about pressure on both sides. We are talking about an offense with answers and a defense that still brings fear. Now, let's be clear. Stefon Diggs to Pittsburgh is not official. This is a rumor, a possibility, a market scenario. But I'm telling you right now, if the price makes sense, this is the kind of move that actually fits what the Steelers are trying to do. Diggs would not just give Pittsburgh another target, he would give this offense a veteran answer when the play has to be on time. That matters. Because when you have Aaron Rodgers as the present of your offense, you need receivers who understand timing. You need guys who know where to be when the ball is coming out. You need separation at the top of the route. You need trust on third down. You need someone who can win in the middle of the field when the defense knows the ball has to come out fast. That is where Diggs becomes interesting. He is not just a name. He is not just a highlight reel. He is a route runner. He understands leverage. He understands spacing. He understands how to create that little bit of daylight when everything is tight, when the pocket is closing, when the quarterback needs a clean answer right now. And imagine that next to DK Metcalf. DK brings power, size, physicality, that you better bring help over the top type of presence. Diggs would bring precision, experience, suddenness, separation. That is not just collecting big names. That is building stress for defensive coordinators. Because how do you defend that simply? Do you shade coverage toward DK and let Diggs work the intermediate routes? Do you press Diggs and risk him winning with footwork? Do you sit back and let Rodgers pick the matchup pre-snap? Steelers Nation, think about this for a second. Pittsburgh has spent years looking for an offense that does not have to fight for every single inch. An offense that can actually punish a defense for being too aggressive. An offense that can convert 3rd and 6 without it feeling like a miracle. Diggs could help with that. But here's the other side of it. Diggs could raise the ceiling of the offense, but TJ Watt is what keeps the heart of this team beating. Diggs could give Pittsburgh answers on offense. TJ Watt keeps Pittsburgh fear on defense. And that's the difference. TJ Watt is not just another pass rusher. He's not just a defensive player you mention before the game and move on. TJ Watt is the weekly warning sign that Pittsburgh still has a defensive soul. TJ Watt does not just rush the passer, he changes the way offenses breathe against Pittsburgh. Offensive coordinators have to plan for him. Quarterbacks feel him before he even gets there. Tackles need help. Tight ends chip. Running backs stay in protection. Routes get rushed. Decisions get sped up. And one bad decision against Watt can change the whole game. Strip sack, short field, momentum shift, stadium exploding. That is Steelers football. So, when people talk about Diggs, do not separate it from Watt. The real story is not just can Pittsburgh add another receiver. The real story is, can Pittsburgh finally build a team dangerous enough on offense while still being terrifying on defense? Because in the AFC, you cannot survive with just one side of the ball. The Ravens are physical. The Bengals can score fast. The Browns want to drag you into a fight. The Chiefs are always the standard. The Bills are never going away. If Pittsburgh wants to be taken seriously, they need weapons to score points and monsters to stop points. That's why this idea feels bigger than just one rumor. Now, let's be honest. Stefon Diggs is not a magic fix. Age matters, cost matters, role matters, fit matters. You don't make this move just because the name is famous. But if the Steelers can get the right version of Diggs, in the right role, at the right price, that changes everything. Because now, Rodgers has a veteran route runner, DK has another threat across from him, the offense gets more structure, and the defense still has TJ Watt setting the tone every single week. That's when Pittsburgh becomes more than interesting. That's when Pittsburgh becomes dangerous. That's when the AFC has to look at the Steelers and say, okay, this team might actually be building something scary. So, Steelers Nation, I need to know what you think. Would Stefon Diggs be the right veteran weapon for this offense? Is TJ Watt still the heartbeat of the Steelers defense? And if Pittsburgh can put both pieces together, are we looking at a team the AFC should fear? Drop your take in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more Steelers updates, rumors, and real talk from the black and gold side of the NFL.